This is a prelude because in this video I absolutely destroy an Ancel BM200 car battery analyzer, and I've taken it out, reverse engineered it, and at the beginning of this video I say that I'm not actually going to test the app because that's not what it's about, but here's the app. I have made a section of the video where I do test the app, and so far so good. So begin the video. Let's take a look at an Ancel BM200 battery monitor. The idea of this device is that you stick it onto your car battery and it's got temperature sensing, which is why they actually recommend sticking it directly to your vehicle battery with a double-sided pad. But it also connects to the terminals of the battery and it transmits the voltage that it's reading to an app. I'm not going to demonstrate the app or anything in this video. It's purely about taking this apart and seeing what's inside. And by monitoring things like the voltage rising during charging, it can tell if it's a healthy charging state. And by monitoring the voltage dip during starting, it can give a rough indication of battery health. But it is just a voltage meter by the look of it. So looking at this, it has a little cover, but I can see what looks like a screw here, but I think the screw is just holding the circuit board in. So I shall zoom down a little bit and we'll get the spudger and we'll jam it in the side, but this thing may actually be glued together because it is trying to be weather resilient. I would expect the circuitry in here to be along the lines I think this is glued in. That's very annoying. I may have to resort to violence. But I would expect the circuitry to be very simple in this. It's literally going to be a voltage regulator and then just a potential divider feeding a little Bluetooth chip. I'm going to try and peel this label off. This thing is not coming apart very easily for a start. That's okay. I can imagine that they are taking into account that it needs to be sealed against external conditions because an engine bay is quite a violent area. Am I going to see all the secrets inside here? You know, I could literally take a picture through the case, couldn't I? But that wouldn't let me probe about. I can see the glue down there. They have glued it. Right, so I'm going to have to pause a bit because that's the only way I'm going to be able to get this open. One moment, please. And we're in, and I have to say, that was quite destructive because I think the way they manufacture this, they've got a tight-fitting plastic plate in the front, and there's a chance that they either put it in and then just touch the edge and it capillary wicks in the sealant, but it is absolutely sealed. Also note that they've got little ports for the wires to come out. They've threaded the wires into those ports, connected them to the circuit board, and then they've put heat shrink sleeving with glue inside it. Over that, the sort of adhesive lined heat shrink. And they've shrunk it down and it results in a very good tight fit. It won't stop water wicking up the ends of the wires. Actually, it will. Look at that. They've actually put these potted ends on. So that, I mean, this comes across as well designed. I've reverse engineered it. We're about to explore that. And you know, it seems quite a good unit. But before we go any further with that, let me give you a demonstration of the app that I wasn't going to demonstrate because I've loaded it on the tablet and we can take a look at that right now. Okay, time to do the test. So I'm going to open the app now, and as soon as it opens, it's pretty good at connecting to the device quickly. And it's showing that the voltage I'm supplying it is 13.38. This shows 13.4, very close, about 20 millivolts out, but that's fine. I compared it with the Fluke as well, very similar. The app is detecting the voltage threshold, 13.38, and regards that as battery fully charged and but under a charging state. It shows the temperature is 26 or 27 degrees Celsius. Ambient temperature is closer to 23 to 24, but that's possibly due to the fact that the temperature sensor is probably in the microcontroller. It shows a chart here that indicates the current voltage threshold. It goes up to 15 volts and down to 9 volts. And if I turn the voltage down now, it's switched to just saying battery okay. It doesn't think it's charging anymore. It thinks it's settling back down. 12.2 volts. Is it going to indicate a different charge threshold? 99%. It shows it is discharging. But anyway, this logs that, and if you do the cranking test, it will effectively, you start the car and it will monitor how much the voltage dips, and from that it can get a rough indication based on the temperature of the battery and the voltage drop of the state of health of the battery. It can also do the charging test, that if you do that, I believe that you start the car, run it for a bit, and then it asks you to rev the engine up, and it just looks at, how the voltage climbs with that to determine how well the charging is working. And that's more or less it. Let's wind it down, wind the voltage down, and see what it goes down to before it conks out. So it's now going below the lower level, which would be bad battery. There is a sort of slight time delay on that, but it's probably just to allow for dips and transients, so it's averaging it out in software. So we're down at 7 volts. We're down at 6 volts. I don't think this is optimized for 6 volt batteries. I think it's purely 12 volt. And if we keep going down, we should be able to get to just about 3.3 volts before things start going a bit weird, and the Bluetooth drops out. 3.1 volt. Still holding in there, and still fairly accurate. When's it going to drop out? 2.6. Oh, it's dropped out. So it dropped out about 2.2 volts. So below about 2.5 volts it's going to drop out. Okie dokie. Right, watch your eyes. It's about to get bright again. And here is the PCB. Let me give you a guided tour. Here's the picture. There's the real thing, just for scale. And this comes across as a fairly well designed, maybe slightly over designed unit. It's got some real oddities. However, let's start at the very beginning. There are 2 big pads in the back of the circuit board. That's those pads there. The negative goes onto the general screen, the 0 volt reference, and the positive comes across through here and goes through a PTC thermistor as a overcurrent protection, and then it splits through a voltage divider for getting a voltage reference from the incoming supply. That's what it uses to measure the voltage with a bit of filtering, and a diode. It's interesting to note that there's a programming port here, and instead of just supplying 3.3 or whatever volts to it, it also has a matching diode going to the same location, and then it goes through the voltage regulator. So this port effectively can provide a 12 volt supply. The other 3 data lines on the port, it's got the 0 volts, 3 data lines, but they go straight over to the microcontroller. More on that in a moment. After that, we've got a very odd, one of the strangest bits of the circuitry here. This is a voltage regulator, and they do them in various voltages, 5.5 volts, 3.3 volts, and they could have used a 3.3 volt regulator because they are using 3.3 volts. However, what they've done is they've used adjustable regulator, and that means that they've had to add these components as well. It could have just been a simple 3-pin one. But they've got 3 resistors as a precision voltage setting for the 3.3 volts, and then they've got another resistor here that actually enables that because it can be, well, given a positive signal to enable the voltage regulator. It's just kind of... normally this would just be a 3-pin chip, and then the capacitor above and below that would be it, but they've added quite a chunk to this circuit board for that. Not sure why. Resistor and LED, that's the only LED. It just blinks to show it's active, a little heartbeat monitor thing. And then this is the chip that took me the longest to work out it was. I had to go and ask on Patreon and provide them a picture of the circuit board and say, any guesses? Many of the patrons asked AI, which came back with some wild guesses. The predominant ones, though, were for human guesses, were a memory chip or an accelerometer. It turned out, as someone mentioned, that the pinout looked very similar to an accelerometer. I looked up a generic accelerometer made by lots of different brands, and this was the correct pinout for it. So it's an accelerometer. It detects when the vehicle's vibrating and moving to indicate when it should be charging the battery, presumably. It seems, I think if the cheap clones... No, we'll go over the cheap clone, what the cheap clone would have done later. But anyway, accelerometer, the only oddity being this pin here in the accelerometer should either be tied high or low normally to indicate the serial protocol that it's going to use. In this case, it's floating. Maybe it's not used in that particular model. It couldn't get a hit for XFE1, but it's possible that just if it's left floating, it defaults to I2C, which is what it appears to be using with these 2 yellow data lines. The microcontroller is actually a capable microcontroller. It doesn't need external memory because this thing has got tons of memory in it, including 32 kilobytes of RAM for temporary storage, which, given it's continually powered, could be used to create a little buffer for data to be sent to the app if needs be. Although this thing samples every 2 seconds, it says, so it's not going to sample 24/7 because that would use that RAM up in a day easily. But anyway, the microcontroller here, this is the CH582F. It's RISC-V based or RISC-V based, but a royalty-free one. And that means it's just a cheap microcontroller basically, but it's very capable, lots of modules. And this variant is the one that has Bluetooth. There's the Bluetooth antenna going out to the zigzaggy Bluetooth antenna. And the back of the circuit board, they've kept that clear of the grounding trace, obviously, because that would just screen it. Other things worth mentioning, there's 2 timing references. This, I think, is the main 32 megahertz probably, and they've got another one. Because this ultimately has loads of timing modules in it. It also has loads of power sections in it. So things like this capacitor and this capacitor and this capacitor are all for sub-power supplies. And this is an inductor. And the chip inside pulses that inductor to generate its own auxiliary a supply voltage rail. Now, if it was the cheap Chinese copy of this, it would have more or less, it wouldn't have this. It would just basically, it might have a resistor, but it wouldn't have the fuse, it would just have a thin track. It would have the polarity protection diode, it would have that potential divider, it would have the cheap 3-pin regulator, the LED, yes, but it would use one of those little, it would get rid of the vibration detection or just look for fluctuations in voltage that you might get to indicate if the vehicle's in use. Because if it's rising, it probably means it's charging. If it suddenly dips, it's probably means it's starting. And if it actually gradually trends down, it means they've probably stopped the car. And it's just basically settling down to a standardized standby voltage. But they'd use the typical little Bluetooth speaker type microcontroller probably, and they just get rid of almost everything here except just a couple of capacitors in the vicinity. They could make it a lot cheaper, but they didn't. This seems quite a quality unit. Let's take a look at the schematic. And the schematic is fairly logical. There's a 12-volt supply coming in, there's the PTC fuse, there's a diode for polarity going on to the common input bus here, which then does the enable for the voltage regulator, so the supply in for the voltage regulator, and then it's also got the voltage divider here, 82K and 10K, to provide a voltage reference based on the incoming supply. So it divides the incoming supply down and provides it over to the microcontroller for analysis. The pink bits here are the programming port. One connection is down to the 0-volt rail, which is the chassis, or as you might say in America, chassis. We've also got the higher voltage input from the port, and we have the 3 data lines going into the microcontroller, also from that port. There's the regulator, quite complex, with its precision divider to actually set. I thought this was going to be some exotic voltage, but I measured it with the unit powered and it was 3.3 volts. They're basically aiming for about 1.24 voltage threshold for that. Strange that they used that. I don't know why they did it. But that 3.3 volt rail then powers the accelerometer, which is local decoupling, and the microcontroller, which is local decoupling, and loads of the timing references and support capacitors and little inductor there for setting voltages, and it also blips the LED and then provides the output to the Bluetooth antenna, and ultimately the rest of it is done in magical software, not just in the microcontroller in this unit, but also the app is probably doing quite a lot of that processing. The temperature sensing, I was looking in the circuit board for a temperature sensor, I couldn't find it, so I asked AI, does the CH582F have a temperature sensor inside it? And it said, yes, it does. But that could get skewed, because if this processor is busy, if it's doing much, its temperature will rise slightly. But the standby current is this wavered between 0.5 milliamp to 1 milliamp, little peaks to 1 milliamp every time it lit the LED and sent a burst of data, presumably. But there we have it. You know, it's actually kind of better than I was expecting. The app seems to work really well. It connects instantly, which is good. And the circuitry is a cut above what I was expecting. So I'm guessing, unless this is a clone, I'm not really sure, but I'm guessing that Ancel BM200, it's kind of a well-designed product. So there we have it. Interesting. I particularly like the very crystally case with the blue LED making the whole thing flash, and the fact that it's just stuck on the battery and these terminals put on the vicinity, and the efforts they've gone to actually seal moisture out from even getting up the inside of the cables. It looks as though it's got pedigree. It's not just been a generic design. It looks like it's been done by somebody who's been doing this for a while and has refined the product. But that was a very long but very interesting teardown. That was well worth exploring.